Hello, I'm Fred Garvin. Welcome to the Saturday Night Live Sucks podcast. This show is season 41, episode 16, by Peter Dinklage as the host, and Gwen Stefani doing some singing. The cold opening was a political CNN interview with a apologetic Trump supporter. This was good. It was. They even had some Trump, some Daryl Hammond. The Daryl Hammond was kept short. He was focused. He was looking straight ahead, so he didn't have to read cue cards. He could read the teleprompter, and punched a guy out. Kate was great as the host, and Cecily was really good as the crazy Trump supporter. Some really good lines about making American grapes again. She said Donald told her that Ted Cruz's wife was arrested, but it was actually a Yo Mama joke. It was good. And great character by Cecily. I think I've met that woman, actually in the guise of a man. Oh yeah, in a guise of a woman. I've met both of those. People being very apologetic about Trump and defending him. But politics aside, I won't say my real feelings about Trump. But this was a good opening. Okay, opening monologue with Peter Dinklage was really short and didn't have a lot. He told a couple nerd jokes and then cut to George R.R. Martin, author of Game of Thrones, in the audience, who wanted Kate to come out and take her top off, which is funny because Daenerys is always losing her top, or at least she was. And then he kind of tried to direct the monologue a little, which was decent. I don't know. My idea, because I'm going to try to throw in better ideas instead of just criticizing, would be to have them try to convince him to, if this was a George R.R. Martin sketch, fans pleading with him to get in better shape. Because he's older, he's overweight, and if anything happened to him, a lot of people would be sad. And I think he should be on an exercise program, and people should be watching what he eats. He should be getting plenty of rest. He should be really taken care of so he can just do his job. That would have been an interesting little twist. But, the lose your top thing, that was funny and kind of he had a good nerdy character, a good nerdy laugh. So it was decent, and Leslie came out as a dragon at the end. First dragon reference of the night. If it's a drinking game, every time anything is in reference to pants, you must take a drink. Up next we had the Winnie the Pooh sketch, where Peter was a really good Winnie the Pooh, and some of the other characters were the Eeyore and their other friends, which I forget, and Christopher. Denny the Real comes over. He is a relative of Pooh, who had some good jokes about saying that everything is weird. He'd said, you're weird because of this, you're weird because of that, and come with me and join my crew. Make lots of money. And they did get the pants joke in, of course, because Pooh's not wearing pants, and somebody gave him pants, which is still a good joke. And in the end, Pooh decided to stay, and that was it. there was really not any kind of a great ending line. They just showed the book closing, and Denny made lots of money, and Pooh stayed in his forest and ate honey. The end. So it wasn't a lot to the sketch. It seemed like it needed a little bit of a sprinkle. It needed something else, maybe some more conflict, another character. I don't know. It was just a guy showing up at someone's house saying all your friends are weird, you're weird, but come with me. There was really no great reason why why he wanted Pooh to go with him. And then Pooh decided to stay. The end. I don't know. Good characters by everybody. Some funny lines. But the structure was not quite there. I think it was a failure in the writing. Performance was great. Writing, especially the big picture of where the sketch was heading, what was the purpose of it, was lacking.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Okay, next was Naked and Afraid, with Peter and Leslie as his naked co-naked person. And kudos to them for not making any short jokes when Leslie was checking out his package. She just said, "Nice package." And they did not say "nice package." I don't know if it looks good because of your height, or the rumors of package sizes among the shorter people. I don't know, but they didn't do it. But of course, this was the second sketch in a row where Peter was not wearing pants. It was good. Some funny stuff where Leslie's like really all over him and cuddling with him for warmth. Some decent stuff. I've never watched the show, but maybe I'll check it out now. It was interesting. I think the funniest thing was Leslie's one item she was able to bring was Frank's Red Hot sauce. And she was sprinkling on twigs and eating the twigs. So that was pretty decent.
What a dirty, filthy mind you got.
Space pants. Where do I begin? I did see on Twitter it got a lot of coverage. Positive coverage. All of it. At least what I saw. Except for mine. Well, it started off as a mafia sketch. Boss and his crony were joined by two guys who owed him money. And right away, it was a bad start because only one guy came out. And the mob guy even referred to them as "you two." Then, off camera, we saw the table shake. And then when they cut away to the one guy, there were two guys now. So a guy missed his cue. He was not in the previous sketch. There is absolutely no excuse for not being on stage. There are times my group has had people come out late, but that's always because of a costume change. No excuse for that. Then the other weird thing was he brandished a gun, the mob guy, but he hit it with the napkin. So the way he did it was he held the gun out and then covered it with the napkin, instead of coming up from under the table with a gun with a napkin on it. Then there was a guy playing piano, and he ended his set while the guys were explaining that they'll have the money soon. And Peter Dinklage comes out with a wacky wig and some space pants, meaning pants that had planets and moons and asteroids on them, whatever, and did kind of a Devo-esque techno song about space pants. The people were distracted at the table, the guys that owed the money, and Peter just kept singing about his space pants. And then Gwen Stefani came out and almost missed her cue. She was about to sing, but it wasn't her time, and then she caught herself. And she sang about her space shorts. And the only real connection between those two things happening, meaning space pants and the mafia guys, were they were distracted. The guys that owed the money were watching, and the mob guy said, is that more interesting than what's going on here? And he pointed to the gun, and they said, well, yeah, actually. So that was the only connection. It was kind of like somebody had a mafia sketch, and they didn't know where to go with it. Just a very basic setup. There was no twist to it. There was nothing different. It could have been right out of a movie, a serious movie. And then somewhere else somebody came up with a space pants idea. And here's my theory. Somebody was at Target or wherever, or maybe some other store, and they saw maybe sweatpants or pajama pants that had space stuff on it, and somebody said space pants, and that became a song. And maybe they had no idea what space pants, only that it would be a goofy song, and they decided to take two incomplete ideas and glue them together very hastily, and that was it. And then Space Pants, the song ended, and they put the applause sign on, and people applauded, and the applause faded, and then they went to commercial. And I think what bothered me most was people love it on Twitter, and I don't know. I guess a song about space pants might be okay, but it's almost like people are loving something that for the wrong reason. It wasn't a great sketch. It wasn't even a sketch. It was a song about space pants, which maybe is Weird Al Yankovic territory. Maybe it should have been a Weird Al song, and then you could like a song about space pants. But to like it as a sketch, I don't know. Maybe I'm a curmudgeon-y old man, and I should just be resigned to, well, if people laugh and they like it, then it worked. But I didn't like it. And it's my job to say why. Oh boy, the Glory Hole restaurant sketch. Two couples having dinner. One couple had been at the restaurant before, one was new to it. Basically, the food, all very phallic, of course, or bread, long, big pieces of bread, was served through a very glory hole-like hole in the wall. The waiters would talk through it, which is kind of funny because you could just see their mouth. And they put a piece of bread in there, and Peter would bite on it, and his date would bite on it, and of course it looked like a big penis coming through the wall. Basically, the sketch was just one big dick joke. That's really all it was. There was no ending. It just kind of stopped. So, I'll go off on a tangent. If you're taking, if you're keeping score on the pants, Peter Dinklage as Pooh without pants, in Naked is Afraid without pants, and then a song about space pants, and then presumably a dick joke. It is a dick joke. I didn't like it at all.
What a dirty, filthy mind you got.
Okay, we took a good turn. Up next was a pre-taped Game of Thrones preview. But the twist was, it was Bobby Moynihan was the, I guess, stand-in dragon before they applied the CG, and he was really funny. He did some wacky things. He was a scene chewer. He stole focus and kind of a nitwit, but it was funny. We did have Kate come back for a second time as Daenerys, and giving interviews. And I think the funniest part for me was Bobby was complaining that he had to go to the bathroom, and they said, it takes you a half hour to get in that costume. Can you hold it? And he's like, sure. And then later you can see him in the background spreading his legs, and one of the helpers was holding a blow dryer to his crotch to dry up the urine. This was really good. This was good. I liked it. It was a good twist. It was very clever. I'm gonna say, if I had to put one word on that, I would say clever. Okay, Weekend Update was up next. They had, I usually don't critique jokes, although I do have a quibble with it. They're generally good. This was good too, but I did have a sensical quibble about one of the jokes. It was about a lot of people getting blackout tattoos, which uses a lot of ink. And Michael Che said, well, you're wasting a lot of ink on your tattoo, but you'll be saving a lot of ink on printing resumes. Now, to me, that means you're going to get a job right away and you won't have to print resumes. So I think it was a good connection, but I think they just got it absolutely backwards. But nonetheless, there were two guests. One was Pete talking about the Hulk Hogan $115 million lawsuit settlement with Gawker over them airing his porno. And I think he was smiling throughout the whole thing. I know that's kind of the way he always is, but I think he needed to be more serious. I think he was laughing his way through it. I don't know, almost like he was high. And I did have one issue with one of the jokes. He mentioned as a bad movie Thunder Lips, when Hogan was in, I think it was Rocky 4, Rocky 3, I don't know, whichever one it was, as a bad performance. And, that was probably his best performance. It was short. He just did what he did, and it was a decent movie, too. But he has starred in movies that have been god-awful. Like, I think Mr. Nanny and Ready to Rumble. I think he did something with kids or spies or something. But Thunder Lips was definitely not his worst performance ever. The other special guest was the baseball player. Was it Ortega? Which was okay. I don't know. I think I would have liked the original guy. Baseball has been very good to me. It was kind of the modern version of that. Decent. And of course he got a dick joke in. Because it's the dick joke show. Oh, and I did want to say Gwen Stefani did a nice performance. But I had no doubt she would have been good. Up next was the honeymoon suite sketch. It was actually quite imaginative. Peter Dinklage was a hotel guy showing newlyweds their honeymoon suite, which was actually underwater. So they had a big window with the outside water. And then a guy floated by, a dead body, which was, I don't know how they came up with that. That was pretty good. And then another one came. And basically through the sketch, the guy wanted to ignore it and have sex. And Peter Dinklage was the hotel guy apologizing for it, said he comped the room and all that. So it was very imaginative, but it didn't have an ending. It just ended. I don't know how I would have ended it. It's a tough one. It's a great concept. It has a lot of room for humor and laughs. But where do you go? Where do you go? This is where the writer takes it before the other 30 writers and says, here's where I got up to. Here's the default ending, kind of a tentative ending I have. Does anyone have anything better? And I would think out of a big room of writers, somebody would have said, I got something. How about we do this? And it would have been better than this. I guarantee it. Maybe they don't talk. Maybe people aren't allowed to make suggestions, or maybe the guy that wrote it didn't want any suggestions. I've seen all that in my group. Up next was Vacation Nightmares. A couple was in Denmark. Oh, wait a minute. A Vacation Nightmare, Honeymoon Nightmare. Yeah, 2 in a row. That seemed a little odd. I would have put something between them. My group has certainly had shows where 2 sketches were similar, and whenever we do the running order, we always make sure there's plenty between them so people forget. But this was back to back. It's like back to back sketches about pants. So it was a little imaginative. The people were complaining that the reenactment wasn't going exactly as planned, like they got jumped by 2 Danish men, but they actually had 2 women doing a terrible Swedish accent. It just kind of ended as the show ended. Peter Dinklage again was the host. He did a lot of hosting and moderating, I don't know, a lot of in-charge type stuff. And he was good at it. More of the straight guy in all these sketches. I don't think he really got a chance to show his wackiness. Well, I guess Space Pants, but I'm trying to block that out. And Pooh was a little bit different. But other than that, he was just kind of the guy. So this sketch, I think, was a failure for me. Slightly imaginative, but I don't think the execution was quite there. And finally, the last sketch in the death position was the magician. There was a magician doing a corporate gig, and he pulled up the main boss, the big boss, on stage, pulled the hankies out of his pocket, and there was underwear at the end. And he said, "Whoa, it's underwear, and it's got a skid mark, and it stinks." And the boss didn't take well to that. He kind of went back to his seat and kept going back to why that was funny, and those were not his underwear, and there was no skid mark, and what's funny about that. And I liked that it got awkward, and it brought light on people going up on stage and having embarrassing things happen to them. But this time the guy had some power and was able to bring the show to a halt and have some really awkward conversation, which I kind of actually liked. It did not have an ending. The ending was just kind of Peter as the boss finally getting the guy to admit that it wasn't his underwear. And then he said, "Oh, that's where the humor is." And he gave it up for the magician, and everybody clapped, and that was it. So there was not much of an ending, but I think I'll forgive this one a little more, because the turn of him getting the magician to admit it wasn't his was kind of an ending. I guess it was a turn. Yeah, this was alright. And it was in the death slot. I think it was better than other stuff on the show. So, overall the show was, I'll give it a meh. It was alright, I guess. Nothing really great. But that's it. Okay, I'm Fred Garvin. Until next time, you can catch the old stuff on snlsucks.com. And I have links to Twitter and SoundCloud with old critiques on there. So, see you next time. And stay away from space pants.
Boys and girls,